Hi YouTube, I hope you're doing okay. I'm doing pretty good, really good as a matter of fact. I got my rhubarb transplanted this morning like I wanted, and it was doing good anyway despite being crowded by raspberries, but it'll do a lot better now. So, and yeah, it doubled from where it was at last year, so at least. So yeah, I even killed a bunch of it off trying to move it the other time and a couple times before that. So yeah, a lot of it, but anyway, so got some mirrors rearranged for natural lighting and washed some of them, got some of that done. So I'm ready to make my video. I'm talking about today. I was not surprised, but Leak Project Rex Bear has on Paul Wallace. I know he's affiliated with Masonically affiliated. I can't prove satanically, so I'll say Masonically. And these people that are pushing the ancient alien thing, when some people call them angels and others of us refer to them as the demon monsters that they are, that are going to perpetuate and propagate anything against human beings that is going to stifle your progress while they live luxuriously. That's the bottom line with these type of people, if we call them people. I just got through asking Doug a little bit ago, are our kids even human? And this is the topic of my video. This is the year for me where I'm no longer listening to what people say. I'm going on what they show me. When somebody shows me who they are and it's like a repetitive thing and this is like ingrained in this person, this is who they are showing themselves to me to be, and I can only go on that. And my instincts aren't wrong on things. I will never second guess I have put myself in a position of people are like, okay, I went on the propaganda that don't be judgmental. That didn't work out very good for me personally. I needed to make judgment calls in my life of what was reality and what wasn't. And then I take it from there. I cannot give my sovereign intelligence in the hands of lesser minds or hearts than mine, and you should feel the same way too. And for me, if people are not in the same wavelength, say if their father were the devil, they could ride on the same wavelength, but they're not actually in it. They can appear like that, but they're not actually that. And when you get that feeling, when the other shoe drops and you meet this person, and just say you meet a person and you think, wow, you're incredible, you're so intelligent, and then after a while it's like they pulled something out of the dark zone. It's like, wow, you put on a good show for a long time there until you pulled that bit out and showed me your sovereignty. You showed me your allegiance, who you serve by doing that. It's like, okay, good show though. But when it gets down to the self-serving part for people, that's where they fail all the time, no matter what their reasons are. No matter what their reasons are. If you've had you or your life threatened, or your kids or people or you've had your life-threatening situations in life, and most of us have by now, but most people do. You go through that one way or another, but once you come to that realization that you are a part of the Spirit of God that can be guided on this planet, and if people aren't guided by that Spirit, I'm saying that's who they are. We have to believe who they show us to be. If I don't start determining that in my life and teaching other people to get in touch with reality like that, regardless of your emotions, you have to think not with your emotions, but with your logic and your reason and what is reality. We can't, if we go on these fictitious things that they want us to pass on to the next generations, oh God, it's, how can people do that? You know, they give themselves excuses because they need to, you know, but I don't even give myself excuses, so I'm certainly not going to give anybody else any. You know, I'm just not. You better be able to prove to me that you're physically handicapped. If you're emotionally unstable, this is another thing. You know, could be trauma-based, could be several different things, but people do prove themselves out, you know, one way or another. They show themselves. So we got to start realizing that the dangers that you put yourself in and your loved ones by overlooking what people show us who they are. You know, you'll get hurt if you overlook it. You know. So it's a lot easier to believe that there's a bunch of global-minded corporations and entities that are working together and always have against the people they want to take from. That's a pretty plausible thing, that to know that they would go in every area of our lives and act like a wrecking ball, you know, or at least enough where, like, they still want you to work, but you can work with one hand even if the other one's injured. You know, that type of feeling is they give you just so much and no more. In the United States, it looks like you're going to succeed and our bank accounts will get a little puffy and we'll feel good because we know we worked hard towards what they call the American dream, you know. So they let, like every other generation, they'll just make it look like you're just about gonna get there. And then the economy collapses. It happens all the time, you know. Oh yeah. I was working for a stockbroker when the banking collapse went down. It's like, oh, great. It's hard to have a career in that industry when they keep messing with it, you know. And who I mean by they, people that would have enough funds, finances, and backing by the world banks that would be able to play with stocks and bonds and that type, and inside trading that they say they don't do. Of course they do, you know. You don't get much more inside than people that are related to other people that want to keep all the money in the world, and the people that don't have money working for them. Sure, it's a corporation, their corporation. They want you to believe all these silly little things like, oh, the government's just now going to tell you that there's aliens. They've been trying to slip this demon seed crap in under the guise of all kinds of different, you know. And all the governments around the world are going to pull this. Freemasons, if you want to say that, or whoever they are, it's worldwide. If you just said the governments, you're not going to think, okay, these governments get together and have steak dinners and balls and all kinds of, well, like this dignitary goes to that country and this one and that one, and we all give them the royal treatment. Like to give them some royal treatment. Keeping in touch with reality and making sound judgment calls on everything, questioning everything, never taking anything that anybody tells me or you at face value, to scrutinize everything. It's imperative. It's your soul. Are you playing with your forever? I'm not. I'm not putting my forever in the hands of anybody. You know. Like if I get fired up and somebody deserves that fire, I had somebody tell me, well, you don't really want to do that. I said, well, I wouldn't recommend that. You walk around with that type of attitude. I would not recommend that for anybody. No, I wouldn't. Mine's reserved for a certain day. But if it does come out, I was talking about, it was sort of a personal funny joke, the difference between, like, people say you're giving me the third degree, like when you're questioning them and scrutinizing them, and especially when they're guilty. Well, you could try the fifth degree, and I was thinking the difference between what would be crispy, like well done, between the third degree and the fifth degree. Wow. That fifth degree burn, that's crispy crittered. You're smoked and cooked and over and out. That's what I mean by that. You know. So I will hand you the third degree if you need it. Just don't take it any farther, you know. And these people are pushing me. They're pushing my offsprings. They're pushing your offsprings. And I don't like where they're being pushed. To worry about some carbon footprint instead of teaching people to plant a tree. If each person on the planet even planted a strawberry plant or a tomato plant to feed themselves, if you planted one thing a year, you'd be ahead of the game with that carbon bullshit as far as their factories spitting out bullshit. It's like the meme going around, every electric vehicle should be run exclusively on solar or wind power or self-generated power, like Gerald Moran's invention, or some of the Tesla technology. They have all this and they say they love us, but we don't have all this. They have those capabilities. They have the capability to take your money and send it to a country that has more diamonds and more cobalt in the ground than anywhere else in the world. Israel, with one of the greatest armies in the world and the biggest banks you ever saw in your life. And they want you to take your daughter to go fight their filthy wars because they're calling it religion. They're calling it chosen. What if the chosen people are Native Americans and they're the lost tribe, and nobody's acknowledging that except for the big bankers that backed the invasion of the Americas? to silence the true gentleness of a people. Just a thought, you know, and the disservice that every American Christian is doing to the indigenous people in our own country. That's a trip. That trips me out on a daily basis, that foreigners are running a country that will go and fight in other countries so they can have their own, what they were promised. But the actual genocide and annihilation of a people in their own country, and nobody's sticking up for it. Nobody's saying anything. Why is that? Is that a little lopsided? Is something kind of off with all that? I read a really cool meme. I'll share it with you, actually. It was Goldilocks. I'll probably just be able to remember it here. Yeah, I will. I'm sure. No, I'm going to read it. It'll come off better if I do. Yeah. Just be a moment. Okay, let's see. It was put out by a native group called Powwow Photography. Let's see. Here we go. It's got to be here. I think I shared it. No. Maybe I didn't. Oh, I might have just liked it. It was Goldilocks, and it said something about, oh, it's one of the first times that we were rooting for the colonizers is when we learned that from Goldilocks going in and taking over the bears' beds and foods and chairs and everything, and not realizing that she was invading their home, and we were rooting for the colonizer, basically, is what that was. So now it makes me want to find it. I'm just going to look really quick. I might run across it again. Perhaps. I'll just give it a couple minutes. Looking through my news feed. Might be way down there. Nah. I don't see any of my morning ones yet from this morning. Ah, that's good enough. You get the gist of it anyway. And it still blows me away that people act like they're respectable Christians in the Native Americans' country and don't realize that they see when there's government and cities and states selling streets and buildings and land to other people in other countries, and it isn't going back to the original owners. This is really up in my country. It always has been. Someday, my words are going to make an impact on people's hearts, that they would support other countries and their wars for their land when you're fucking over the very people of their own country and think nothing of it. That's just beyond weird. That's about as evil as it gets, and people are like, oh, la, 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 skip along to church and pretend I'm a Christian in the red man's country. I'm a colonist. Everybody's, everybody's parents were immigrants. No, not everybody. But when you're welcome in a place, that's one thing. When you take over a place and then call it yours, that's a whole different story. And not all of the red people are rolling over and playing dead with that narrative. And it's never going to go away until justice is done. That's a fact. So if you think you're just and you're supporting somewhere else on the planet and you're from the United States, you're really twisted, super twisted. Not a doubt in my mind. Anyway, I'll talk a little bit more, but yeah, that is sad. It really is. Just because people stayed strong and survived having their families separated and murdered and shipped off to orphanages and different things, Christian schools, and had their language and religion and everything abolished. Just because all that happened doesn't mean that it's okay. Doesn't mean that it's going to go away. It doesn't mean that those bloodlines aren't crying out for justice and the return of their heritage. Would that make you feel anything, for them at all? Got a prayer in there for the justice of the whole thing? What I told you is the truth. And the dark cabal, the synagogue of Satan, those that say they are Jews but do lie, the Khazarians. Yeah, well, they know what they're doing. Now they're crying it's like Benjamin Netanyahu, whoever, yelling that people are want to hurt Jewish people. No, a lot of us have Jewish friends that we love. We don't like the dark cabal Khazarian Jews at all. That's borderline hatred. You're murderers. Well, it's not even borderline hatred. Do I want you dead? No, I want your ass locked up. Period. We don't want anybody hurt. I have Jewish family members. I'm my heritage. Pardon me. I don't want anybody hurt. Not at all. It'd be like hurting myself. But when these people are hurting themselves out of greed, and it is the only reason, then they have somebody to contend with. And I'm not going to sit there and say that anybody of any heritage is any worse than any other. I'm just going to say people do get what they deserve. So if you hear that people are out there hurting somebody of a certain heritage or race or anything like that, it's orchestrated by the dark cabal to get your sympathy in that area. Because normal people don't hurt other people for any reason. So anytime we hear this, we know, rest assured, it's connected to the dark cabal. Bottom line. Just like their wars. Normal people don't go to war. So otherwise, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night in this red man's country. You think on that. So, if you don't think that's true, you should visit a reservation. Go visit a Native American Indian reservation. That's my recommendation for every white person in the United States. Not drive on it. You go walk in there and meet the people. You're not going to come out the same as you went in. Guaranteed. And even within any color people, once again, not everybody's the same. And there's even Native American affiliated, Masonically, satanically inclined cults. So, with any group, anywhere, any heritage, everywhere. So, yeah. Well, I'm going to get this uploaded. I appreciate you joining me. Just be aware, it's our duty to pass on reality to the next generation. We're obligated to tell them the truth in science and logic and everything that is provable, like the shenanigans that dark cabal orchestrations, including our governments, do to us constantly to keep you in turmoil, to keep you stupefied, to keep it where they can control you and have you working with that one hand because they don't care. So they have sleeping pills or something helps them. So, okay. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.